guys, we are back, and we're going to be watching some more of this Sam Hyde, Nick Fuentes interview. Now for this section, I'm going to pull 2 new demon cards. Who's with our boys today? We got Sam Hyde. And we got NF, Nicholas Fuentes. Oh shit, look at that. The cards themselves are the star for Sam Hyde and the moon for Nicholas Fuentes. Actually, quite a dichotomy there, huh? And remember, we're saying the names without intention, so no releasing right now. Although if you guys would like to release these for whatever reason, just say the names with intention. Alright, so the star is gap, can cause love or hate, can make one ignorant and without sense, delivers familiars from other magicians, can move from place to place. Okay, so I can see that with Sam Hyde. He is a very love-hate kind of guy. He is definitely someone who is more interested in just going with what he thinks is right versus what is actually correct. Remember, everything I say here is not to throw shade. I have a bachelor's in psychology, so sometimes this stuff is interesting to me. I can't help but be analytical. All right. For Nick Fuentes, we got the moon. Beelzebub makes manifest the apparitions of demons, sets demons upon men to destroy them with vices. Well, that's an interesting one. I wonder how we'll see that, because Nick Fuentes never came across to me as a vice kind of guy. But then again, here he is on cocaine with the sunglasses on, hiding his drugged out eyes. So we'll see. And we'll just start pulling cards as they talk about the world. Now, something to keep in mind, the star and the moon are the 2 truth bringers in different ways. They both bring light to our world. And that is something very interesting. The moon kind of reveals things, while the star is more of like, look at everything around you. While the moon is more like revealing things that are in the dark. I'm not going to go too deep into the star and the moon, but hopefully that stuff makes sense to you. But let's watch this and pull some cards.
Their values and their journalistic integrity to whatever, what, money? Is that what it is?
They're convinced that working for the CIA or intelligence is patriotic. I think that they're convinced that they're with the so-called good guys, the good faction inside intelligence that is sort of, ideologically aligned with us. To tell you the truth, a lot of them are marginal types from the beginning. Somebody like Peter Thiel.
What do you mean marginal?
So he's a gay man.
Yeah.
Gay people are typically marginal, or a lot of them are Jewish. Jewish people are marginal also.
When you say marginal, you mean not like core person type? They're like on the fringes?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're like an outsider. They're more willing to listen to accept like weird kind of ideas. Is that what you mean?
Well, weird ideas, and they might be able to be compromised in some ways, specifically like gay people. There's a huge vulnerability. I mean, like, there's a big reason Jeffrey Epstein trafficked in pedophilia. There's a big reason why a lot of these public figures, I don't think it's a coincidence, get outed for pedophilia.
When you say marginal, you mean there's something about them that's exploitable?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be an ethnic affinity, it could be a sexual eccentricity, which could be used for blackmail purposes. There's a lot of different vectors, I think, but it's almost never just like normal people.
It's never just a guy that likes peanut M&Ms. Know what I mean?
It's an M&M minis guy. Needs the
It's
tube.
these fucking M&M minis guys.
Needs the tube, a specific color. He's like, you got the yellow tube? And he won't buy them unless it's the yellow tube.
Strangely fits. Anyway, sorry, continue.
So I don't know the psychological profile necessarily, but needless to say, they start getting this buy-in. They receive the money, they receive the career advancement, doors open up for that person. Maybe somewhere along the way they understand what's happening, but they rationalize it. I've heard many different stories about how it works, but it always starts at the college level, which sort of makes sense. Because if you think about Harvard, Stanford, Yale, they are selecting for the highest IQ people, and the government wants the highest IQ people because intelligence, it's sort of in the name also, these intelligence networks, they need to be the most technically sophisticated, operationally sophisticated. So they go, where are the smart people? They're at the elite universities. And so, you might think it's sort of like when you look at Turning Point USA or, college Republicans, you might think that's kind of nothing. It's peanuts. It's dorky. It's silly. But these 18-year-old people, these 18-year-old, 19-year-old young guys who are ideologically conservative, these are the future leaders. These are the 130, 150 IQ guys that are going to be fighting the Chinese and fighting the Iranians and fighting Russian intelligence. So that's where they go for them. And it's also when they're impressionable. It's also when they're malleable. So I never understood the significance of education until I thought of these institutions as elite-making institutions. Harvard graduates the elites of the world. Yale graduates the elites of the world. So the intelligence networks want to get their pincers in those people when they're young. And then, so a guy like Irving Kristol puts together this money with these other guys from the CIA, and they seed the money for conservative student newspapers. And, these 19-year-old kids, they think it's funny. A guy like Stephen Miller, that's how he got his start. He was writing letters to David Horowitz, who's a talk radio host, and he was a student newspaper guy doing polemical stuff, shitting on Mexicans and black people and Palestinians and the rest of it.
I was just thinking about David Portnoy. But actually, go ahead.
Pizza reviews they should get into.
Yeah.
And so that's how they get groomed. And then, they go from a student newspaper to a local newspaper to Fox News, and then they're a household name. And they're the big Fox News name.
Was your point of contact, like you're sort of like the vampire that changes you, was that Cassie Dillon?
All right. Want to go over these. Wanted to see where they were going with all of that before I get into these cards. I might have drawn them a little too quickly. Okay, so we got a reverse fool for Nick Fuentes and a 5 of Pentacles. The fool is someone who's entering something with no real idea of what to do. He's just kind of going for it. He's kind of new to this. A reverse fool, on the other hand, is someone who's sort of holding himself back for some reason. Now, I don't know why. And then with the 5 of Pentacles on top of that, that's something where you're really concerned about future financial issues. Now, a lot of this stuff these guys are talking about will eventually go into the problem with global capitalism. I don't think they're going to get into that. I don't think using the C word is what they're into when it comes to condemning a lot of these large-scale global entities that ruin everyone's lives and are kind of in charge of sex trafficking and occultism, any of those things. The CIA, Mossad, MI6, these things serve capitalism. They serve Western imperialism. That is just the truth of it. This has been observed for decades now. It's not something new. These folks start talking about these things and they just refuse to address what it is. They instead say, oh, it's the Jays. Even though it's like, well, we know it's not just that. I mean, that's kind of silly, right? I mean, it's clearly a lot more than just the Jays. That could be a reason why. Because he's also talking about the gays, right? The Jays and the gays. Jeffrey Epstein was straight, for all we know. I mean, he wasn't even bisexual. He was just a straight man. He had a girlfriend, and he had sex with, I don't know the right term to use, but he had sex with people who it's illegal to have sex with. And they were all female, for all we know. So he's saying the Jays and the gays, but then he talks about large-scale global corporations and a straight sex trafficker. That could have to do with why we're getting a 5 of Pentacles. It's like you're not addressing the financial concerns here. You're not addressing the money. You're not following the money. And the reverse fools kind of goes hand in hand with that. We got a reverse Queen of Swords to represent just the overall topic. A reverse Queen of Swords is kind of like a lack of empathy, a lack of any caring for others. Very vindictive. Which is interesting because I wonder, does it have to do with them or does it have to do with the people that they talk about? I think it's who they're talking about because when the Queen of Swords came up before, it was a normal, it was not reversed, and it had to do with a middle topic. I don't remember exactly what, but it had to do with something that Nick Fuentes was talking about the Middle East, the conflicts overseas. For Sam Hyde, we've got a reverse Knight of Wands on top of a Page of Swords. Now, if you look at the Page of Swords cards, NASA, DARPA, shit like that, and if you look at this Knight of Wands, which I love talking about every time it comes up, it's the Unabomber Manifesto. Now, this deck talks about the Unabomber a lot for some reason. I don't know. Does Sam Hyde seem like a Unabomber? Well, he seems like, I don't know if this is what the card has to do with, but Sam Hyde used to sort of be one of those guys who his aesthetic is like, oh, I'm like a Unabomber kind of guy. Now he's no longer that. So maybe it could just be pointing to that, his past. Page of Swords is a decent card to get. You're carefully watching so that you get an idea of what things are like. When you get a reverse Knight of Wands, it could also tell you sort of like hold off. Don't, like Page and Knight. These are cards that typically represent movement forward. The Page is a little bit more ignorant than the Knight. The Page maybe shouldn't go as quickly as the Knight. The Knight is supposed to charge forward, but the Page is supposed to hold back a little bit. But when you got a reverse Knight of Wands on top of a Page, that sort of like reinforces the Page. Hold back a little bit before you go forward, which I think is what Sam Hyde is doing. You notice that Nick Fuentes is the one who brings up the gays and the Jays. Sam Hyde, even though he has no problem criticizing the gays and the Jays, I mean, if you look back at that, I think it was the Berkeley one where he does a stand-up routine, he goes hard on the Jays and the gays. It's not like it's out of his character to do that, but now he's a big famous multimillionaire, so he may have some reservations, especially now that he has Nick Fuentes on. He knows a lot of people are paying attention, and he understands that in order to get more people on his side, he needs to come across as somewhat more neutral, even though that has never been the case. But then again, you see a lot of people these days refuse to suggest that Sam Hyde is actually a racist or an anti-Semite, even though he's kind of made it obvious that he is at this point. But everyone's like, well, he's actually being post-ironic or meta-ironic, so it's actually none of it's real no matter what. And we all know that's not true. I mean, I've been a fan of Sam Hyde for years at this point, like for quite a while. Yeah, and I know that he for sure is a white supremacist of some sort, so it shouldn't even be controversial. It's okay to be a white supremacist now. If you want to be a white supremacist, just be open about it. I might do a tarot reading on this recent interview/debate that he had where he talks about how white identitarianism is a good thing and that white people should be proud to be white.
Yes.
That's literally she converted to Judaism afterwards.
I looked her up, by the way. She's ugly.
Is she ugly?
Yes.
She's not hot.
You could pull up a picture.
Which made me upset.
Sure.
Who said the thing about the price of a man's soul being so low? It's like, it's not that everybody has a price, it's that most people's price is so low.
Ouch, yeah.
It's also the case that the bitches they hook these guys up with are butt ugly.
That's the price.
Yeah, that's the prize. That's what they get, but they're not hot.
Very sad.
Is she genetically Jewish?
No, she converted.
Why is her face all fucked up then? Converted from what? Ugly bitch? If a beat bitch came to me and texted me saying you gotta change your opinions, I'd say, bitch, get surgery. Now, Cassie Dilla, she might have great Is that her appeal? I don't know how this stuff works. Is it just that the so good it offsets the ugliness? Anyway, I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers here. I just know this bitch is beat.
That's her.
She's good looking.
Yeah. Just cute when she was younger.
Bitch.
Yeah, look at her there.
Some genetic.
She looks shrill and she looks like she's ready to terrorize a man.
Wrong star on the sweatshirt there.
When you were coming up, you had hot opinions and people were looking at you saying, this kid's hot. And you get paired up with this chick to sort of show you the ropes and kind of introduce you to the world of whatever the fuck leads to being on Fox News, whatever. And you start questioning basically Jewish stuff, and she starts texting you stuff. You can't talk about this. We're gonna excise you from the friend group. These types of like texts to let you know that you're on dangerous ground.
Yeah, I think she tried to fuck me too. I think it was like a honeypot situation. The first thing she asked me when I met her is if I would ever fly to Israel. That was her. It could not be less subtle.
Yeah, fly to Israel to fuck. That's the one key weakness. They got to get better looking bitches.
Better
over
looking
here.
ingredients.
Better pizza. Papa John's.
She really fumbled the ball hard.
Oh, yeah.
She came out the gates, you want to go to Israel, came on real strong, and then she has to report back to whoever and be like, I think I accidentally created Nick Fuentes. Oops.
She was so ugly, she created Nick Fuentes.
Was she the only one? Did they send more? Did they, let's try this one.
I think there were more after, but it was mainly, she was the main one. And yeah, I mean, honestly, it was actually that simple. She just wasn't that hot.
It's like Charlie's Angels. If they don't get you with that one, they send the black one, then they send a Chinese one. They send a bunch of different flavors to see if they can get you.
They send Charlie in?
Well, that's Epstein is the guy.
Right.
And then the last one is they get you on the plane with the kids.
And then they become the agents. Peter Thiel, for example, example, he starts the Stanford Review at Stanford. And if you look, it's crazy. Stanford Review is like a who's who of defense contractors, which you wouldn't think. It's supposed to be like a polemical, conservative college newspaper, but it's a who's who of drone developers, like all these people that are making weapons for the Department of Defense, like Joe Lonsdale, who then went on to work with Peter Thiel. And so Peter Thiel, he writes this book about the diversity myth in 1995. He writes a number of other publications, and then he goes on to work for the CIA full-time doing Palantir. And then he goes into a full-time intelligence defense contractor position. And now they're collecting all the data on people that criticize Israel for the government.
That Alex Karp guy, he said that his greatest fear is that the alt-right, his greatest fear is the alt-right. Mm-hmm. That's not good.
Yeah, and specifically, he said his greatest fear is that Christian nationalists will take power and then throw him out of a window, specifically for being Jewish.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's our guy.
What do you think about these Indians?
Not a fan. I was going to go with it.
Well, before they get into the Indians. See, now you can see Sam Hyde's getting a little bold here. He got the Ace of Wands. That means inspiration. It means, okay, now I can start talking about the things I really want to start talking about. Nick Fuentes has set things up for this past half hour pretty well. So now I can start saying the J word more often and start talking about how just like the ethnicity of a Jewish person means this or that. With a reverse page of swords, which is interesting because he had a regular page of swords before. Now he's got the reverse, which is saying like, hey, Sam, yeah, you got a little bold, but that may not be the best strategy right now. You have to remember that Nick Fuentes talks a lot about how he has trouble making money, despite his massive popularity. And it is interesting. I mean, Kanye West lost a bunch of money because of the things he started saying. Now, that could indicate, oh yeah, there is conspiracy there. That could be reinforcing. It could also be some form of self-fulfilling prophecy. Could be a form of manifestation. You know, I'm not going to try to say that manifestation is what explains everything, but it's also interesting to be a Christian and to believe in the mumbo jumbo of the resurrection and Christ being our savior, and to also be this person who's deep into conspiracies and talking about Palantir. But that's Nick Fuentes. Seven of Wands reversed on top of a Two of Swords. Two of Swords is saying that you need clarity, or that you have clarity. You need to focus a little more. Typically, when I get a two of something, I like to draw two clarification cards, but this drew out very interestingly the reverse Seven of Wands. The reverse Seven of Wands sort of has to do with you just can't do it anymore. It's sort of like your ideas are futile. In a sense, that's what reverse Seven of Wands means. Now, is it talking about his specific ideas, or is he talking about more so the futility of the large-scale things that he wants to go into? Maybe that's why we should get a little clarification on this. So we're going to draw one more card for Nick Fuentes. But I'll just let you know that I drew a reverse queen for Palantir, Peter Thiel specifically, and the reverse queen of Pentacles represents greed and things of that nature. So that's all you really need to know about Peter Thiel. He is greedy, and he does not give a shit about humanity. The reverse King and Queen of Pentacles are essentially cards that I would say represent capitalism, or capitalists, the people who run the economy. They're greedy pieces of garbage, and they're destroying everything just so that they can own more. The magician, the ultimate manipulator, and the creator. We all want to be the magician, by the way. That is not a bad card to draw. Is he the magician, or is the magician just a way to better understand what the fuck Nick Fuentes is talking about? The magician is a manifestation card. It is about using your power, using whatever you have to create what you want. So maybe the Two of Swords represents that his difficulty between manifestation and just straight up futility. He seems to be manifesting a world where he has no power. And it's interesting because where does it go? For example, proletariat thinking, materialist thinking. When we realize that the power is in the hands of the few, the question is, how do we revolt successfully? That's been the Marxist dialogue for a century. What is to be done? So he could use some Marxism. I mean, really, anytime these folks start talking about these global events That's really what it comes down to. They need materialism to really start grasping these things. It's very unfortunate. I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to be a critic of these folks like to such a harsh degree, but I do kind of feel like they really are holding themselves back. Intellectually, at least. Sam Hyde, like I said, Sam Hyde is part of the petit bourgeois, or some say petit bourgeois. It is the millionaires who they don't control the economy, but they have a decent amount of money that they really don't want a revolution because then they're afraid to not have the luxuries that they get. Let's say Sam Hyde is able to hire prostitutes because he's a millionaire. But if there's a communist revolution, now we're talking about like real communism, not like some kind of post-feudal Soviet society. I'm talking about like post-capitalist communism, where the means of production are seized and everyone does get like food and shelter and healthcare. That means there's going to be way less sex workers, way less prostitution. This doesn't mean it will disappear. I don't believe that will ever happen until we have 100% post-scarcity. A lot less desperation. A lot less streetwalkers. So that's why the petit bourgeois are not keen on a revolution. They're comfortable. They get access to luxuries, oftentimes through the exploitation of others. Let's continue.
Is Usha Vance, J.D. Vance's wife, is Indian. Mm-hmm. You have like half of Twitter like hates Indians, and then they're also extremely pro-Vance, and his kids are dressed like Indians in India. Mm-hmm. His first son's name is Vivek, and he went to college with Vivek.
You can't write this shit.
No, it's like the Bill Barr, the Epstein thing, this shit. The segue was like Teal to Vance to Usha and Vivek.
That sounds like one of the, what's the Upanishads? It sounds like something out of one of those ancient books.
It does have a sort of, ancient ring to it.
It's frightening to me, especially that ancient Indian stuff. That's
because modern Indian's frightening as is. You go back into the murky depths of time.
It only gets murkier.
Yeah,
from
the
here.
anglerfish of Indian existence down there somewhere.
It doesn't get more clear. The waters get muddier the deeper you go
sure do.
On that one. Do you play games, Nick?
I do, yeah.
What do you play?
I'm basic. I just play like Fortnite, and I play map games. I play Civ 5, All of War.
Civ 5, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I love Civilization. What society do you pick?
Oh, Rome every time.
You go with Rome every time? Mm-hmm. I go with the Uzbeks. Now, I usually look to see who has the biggest advantage and then go with that. But I think, you know what Civilization is?
Nope.
It's this game where you pick your civilization from all the civilizations that have ever existed, and you start a little like sim nation, it's a sim game.
Okay.
But the advantage is like if you pick an African, it's like you get higher birth rate. I don't think I don't think they have anything like that in there. I'm sure they're smart enough to not do that, but each civilization has an advantage. Mm-hmm. Right. I wonder if there are any of them that are funny, like Africans with higher birth rates.
India has a funny one. It's like the population could be really big and happiness is really low.
Oh yeah,
Well, with like billions of people and shit.
It's like hard mode.
They can tolerate anything.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
People would say that's weird that there's no Jewish option, but you as the player are because you're controlling everything.
Is there an Israeli civilization?
There isn't. No.
That would make me sick if I fired up a civilization.
If you get far enough as a Brit, you then create the state of Israel. Yeah, that's how you win the game.
It's one of the world wonders, is creating Israel.
My big thing is I'm just soaking in the failure of this administration. Every successive failure of Trump is just like, that has been my source of enjoyment for the past 5 months.
What are the failures?
The discussion about amnesty.
Now, it's possible that this I did draw King of Swords for Civilization, which is a harmony card. Like a harmony over conversation card. So interesting how they all were very happily talking about civilization in a very fun way. I don't necessarily know if that's the case, but if that is the case, then the Hanged Man could represent the fact that Nick Fuentes only chooses one civilization every time. And then the Seven of Wands represents sort of like defiance and rebirth. Perhaps Sam Hyde ironically talking about how he would choose Africa or whatever shows his little bit of defiance. Also rebirth versus regular birth, which is the whole, India's population grows faster. And I think they spread religion faster. I don't remember anymore. It's been a while since I played. I've chosen Rome, obviously, because but I like to play through as many civilizations as possible. I mean, I've never beaten the game with every civilization. That would take so long. I haven't even beaten it on the highest difficulty, so I wouldn't, whatever.
for illegal farmers.
What's his stance here on amnesty?
So, last year they're promising mass deportations. That was the big tagline.
We didn't get that, right?
No, we're not getting it. They stopped publishing the figures.
Right.
They have not published one number for 6 months, which never happens. And so that was the big promise. And, but of course the entire year last year he had his fingers crossed behind his back. Whenever they pressed him, he would say, well, we're going to get the violent criminals out first. We'll worry about everybody else later. And so fast forward to now, they arrested 70,000 people, which is nothing in 5 months. And they're already saying, well, now we're going to strategically do mass deportations by not deporting anybody that works on a farm, in a restaurant, in a construction site, in a hotel, which is like all the migrant labor. They're basically throwing in the towel 5 months in.
They're just leaving the listless ones that have nothing better to do than crime and rapes.
Yeah.
At least the other ones have they're kind of semi-integrated. That seems like the worst idea.
It's a total joke. So people like you and me, we were part of this big wave in 2016, which Trump obviously led. He was the nucleus of it and the center of it. And I think that the energy around him started dying off, realistically, almost immediately after he won the election the first time. I think he's no longer funny. He got off Twitter. He's not even based anymore. I think about the things that he says. There's just not one. He's pro-Jewish. He's pro-diversity, pro-black, all these different things. And so last year, you had all these people that were really not on our side back then. People like Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovich and a lot of these other guys trying to meme him as like he's still spiritually what he was the first time. And to me, I just thought that was just a complete and total betrayal. It's like people like myself found ourselves on the outside looking in, and all those people back then who were alt-right or establishment are now the ultimate insiders in Trump world. No deportations. He bombed Iran, which at one time that was almost like synonymous with
starting World War III?
Well, and what the Jews always wanted. Like bombing Iran was like a punchline. If you wanted to say somebody was so pro-Israel, it's ridiculous, you would say they're going to start a war with Iran. They're going to bomb Iran.
Yeah.
And then he did it.
What did he bomb?
He bombed their most fortified nuclear facility where they enrich uranium. Of course, he promised no new wars. And a big reason I didn't vote for him is because I said he's going to bomb Iran. The Israelis have been pushing for years, and they're finally going to achieve it with him. He gets into office and everybody says there's going to be no new wars. We're going to stay out of it. And then, of course, Israel starts the war with Iran. They bomb Iran. They do these drone strikes. They do airstrikes. And all the pro-Trump people said, well, we should stay out of it. Of course, we're deeply involved. We start shooting Iran's missiles out of the sky. We start moving airplanes and aircraft carriers into the region. Then they said, well, we shouldn't get involved offensively. Then everybody starts saying, well, we should bomb Iran's nuclear program. Then they said, well, we could bomb the nuclear program, but we shouldn't do regime change. We shouldn't put boots on the ground. Then we bomb the nuclear program, and the next day, Trump is saying, we need to do regime change.
Has Trump said that?
He did. He said it
we
the
need
day
to
after.
do regime change? Can we look that up? What is Trump saying about regime change in Iran?
On True Social, the day after he bombed Iran, he said, why wouldn't we do regime change?
This is interesting. The reason why I'm not drawing more cards, I'm kind of just letting this ride, is because Sam Hyde has a reverse 3 of cups. And I remember this part specifically when I last watched this. And you can even see, look at Sam Hyde's face over here. He's not really happy with this. And it almost looks like, now this is just a freeze frame, totally out of context. And if you look at it, it's not what I'm about to say. But it looks like Nick Fuentes is like, yeah, dude, you don't know about that? And Sam Hyde's like, I don't fucking like you. I don't like what you're doing right here. But this is all subconsciously happening. The reverse 3 of cups kind of represents a lot of social isolation, disharmony with the group, not celebrating with who is around you. Because everyone's dunking on Trump right now. All of these far-right folks. But Sam Hyde really likes Trump. He did not want to be one of the guys who's like, actually, you know what? Fuck Trump. And Trump is the Knight of Wands, representing impulsiveness and rebellion. Trump just decided to bomb Iran and also is rebelling against everything that his base wanted. And the 4 of Swords for Nick Fuentes, interesting. It's like recentering and self-protection, meditation. I guess this would be a situation where I think Nick Fuentes' relationship with Trump is a meditative one. It is about protecting himself from being sucked in and believing in someone who clearly is not really based or interested in the ideas. Trump is a self-serving person. And also Trump is not the most intelligent person. He's going to make decisions that he's not really thinking about. He's serving another entity. He's serving the elites. He is not serving his base.
The people hate the government's failing, we should get a new government to make Iran great again.
Oh, wow.
And then everybody started saying, well, regime change might not be so bad.
It's a weird thing to declare while wearing a bow tie.
Well, no, this is MIGA. This is Make Iran Great Again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is kind of a bow tie situation.
Absolutely.
MIGA.
There's a top. Why is he not wearing a top hat?
Maybe he is, and maybe like he's in the middle of saying something that makes it like float off his head for a second.
That's probably actually true, yeah.
Right.
Or someone's shooting at him. The hat's just...
And it didn't get shot off, it's dodging the bullets.
Yeah,
right.
He's that good.
It's a great hat.
We bombed that nuclear facility, but didn't he bomb the entryway of it? Like, did it actually do damage?
No, he's saying that he destroyed it, but the Europeans, the Iranians, the Israelis, the United States, we all say, no, we didn't destroy it at all. And so that's kind of the next step. Is
So couldn't that be 4D chess, though, Nick?
Yes. So you have the amnesty that they're discussing, bombing Iran, and then of course the biggest thing is the Epstein cover-up, which it's like the most obvious. He published, I put something on my Telegram. In 2016, a Trump tweet was like, "I've never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke." And now the tweets are like a page long. It's like, this is a tweet? It's like it's a page long. It's an essay.
You're talking about the Pam Bondi double pager?
Yes.
We'll pull that up in post. Let's pull it up right now. Let's just see what he's saying. So the commentary coming out of Trump with regard to Epstein, it's not punchy. It doesn't have that traditional Trump snap to it. It's 2 fucking pages long of him sort of pressing people to move on from the topic. What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. He's bemoaning how the Epstein thing won't go away. And he's saying that it's radical left-inspired document concoction.
He's basically saying it's fake. People are, of course, Epstein was blackmailing everybody and ran a sex trafficking ring for that purpose and trafficked them for Israel. And Trump is on True Social publishing a page each day saying, "Hey guys, can we all move on? Like this isn't I definitely wasn't on that island. Like I had nothing to do with that, and we need to just stop talking about it altogether." I don't know. It's just like he's not funny anymore. He's not based. He's kind of like wrong on all the issues. This is not the golden age we were promised. This is more like a golden shower. It's like the golden shower in the Russian hotel.
We're getting pissed on at levels that, and I have to pretend I'm happy, right? But we're getting pissed on. Wow, a lot of piss.
Yeah, it's not great.
Interesting. They're joking around, but Sam Hyde's face, not very happy. He was joking around too, because you got to. That's a guy thing for sure. You just you joke around when you notice everyone else is joking around about something that you actually deep down inside love, and that's what Nine of Swords here kind of represents here. He's worried. Nine of Swords represents, it could be guilt, it can be worry, it could be anguish. He's anguished over this conversation that they're having. And meanwhile, Nick Fuentes has a reverse lovers, which is sort of like a misalignment with another individual. Could be talking about Trump. Now, these cards just fell out while I was shuffling. That's why I decided to just draw them as is. He could be talking about Trump. He could be, in a sense, subconsciously causing this to happen to Sam Hyde. Sam Hyde right now is very distraught, and you can see it in his face. He doesn't like that Trump is no longer cool. He put a lot behind Trump. Same thing it's like an Alex Jones situation. Trump was everything to them. It represented their credibility and whether we should take them seriously. It's when Sam Hyde started talking a lot more seriously about things, like politically speaking, is because of Trump's momentum. And in a reverse Seven of Pentacles, which would be Trump, could be like poor planning, which I do really think Donald Trump is not thinking these things through, especially with this Epstein stuff they're talking about. Your tweets are fucking insanely serious and weird because of this Epstein thing, which kind of just tells me that you have no idea what you're doing to your own credibility as an individual.
Looking too good.
The thing is that energy's got to go somewhere, right? He started all this momentum deporting people. I remember hearing people, just people on the left going, "Oh, they're sending innocent people to where was it? Friggin' Shangri-La? Where was the prison they were sending them?" I'm completely off the map.
You mean El Salvador's?
El Salvador, that's Shangri-La.
Seco or
yeah.
Kiko?
Something like that.
CECOT, whatever their center is for bad guys.
So now everybody's mad. You got, Mexicans throwing bricks at ICE vehicles and stuff. That's all the stuff I'm seeing. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Mm-hmm. Where's all this momentum going to go?
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted him to lose so that we could elect Ye in 2024. That was or in 2028. That was kind of my big idea. I think the country is ready to reject Trump as not radical. And
look at that, very just trying to vibe here. That smile almost popped, but it's just he doesn't He doesn't think it's funny. He doesn't like Kanye West because he's black and makes good music. Watch.
28. That was kind of my big idea. I think the country is ready to reject Trump as
but nope. Instead, this kind of face, which is the duck face, it's the face that, if I were Sam Hyde, I'd be talking about how horrible women are and they make the duck face and they're ugly. But look at him making a duck face. I'm not Sam Hyde, so I can't talk about how women look ugly when they use a duck face. What I will say is that, to me, when a guy does a duck face, a serious duck face in the middle of a conversation, that means, ooh, I just really want to not agree, but I know that if I do, I'm going to look like a fucking idiot. So I just got to... It's his way of biting his tongue. That's what he's doing. He's biting his tongue, probably literally doing it. I'm going to draw a wrap-up card as they wrap up this segment.
Level leader can arise in him because he's sort of preventing that from happening in a way.
From holding the spot.
Right. But this may be the best case scenario where his crash out might fuel the rise of that next person.
Almost like Arthur Fleck inspiring the creation of the next Joker who slashes him at the end of the thing.
That's
He's
right.
like, you want to know how I got these scars? And he shows you how I got the scars.
Well, one thing that's true, I think that the public, the tides are turning publicly.
Okay, so that's the end of that segment. Let's just see. I mean, I got 2 cards here. Let's just see. Let's just see what the gods send us. Man, I really hoped for another 6. Right? Every time. But, that's the thing. Once you start hoping for a particular card to show up, you don't quite get that card. You get something that's just quite on the cusp. So I'm still going to consider it for this conclusion here. We got a 6 of Swords, a 6 of Cups, and then a 7 of Wands. Now, the 6 of Swords is Martin Heidegger, member of the Nazi Party. I like pointing that out because it does come up when I'm talking about Nazis a lot. It comes up in other situations, but that's interesting, right? Now, 6 of Swords is a transition card. Sam Hyde, there's a lot of evidence that he hooked up with a trans woman, sucked her dick. There's a whole 4chan investigation on the whole thing. I sometimes worry about bringing it up because he's been very hardcore in trying to prevent people finding out from this stuff. Now, I like Sam Hyde. I'm a huge fan. Like I said, I've been watching his stuff for years. I'm not trying to say any of this as a way to dunk on him. But I think Sam Hyde's humor does kind of invite this kind of stuff, right? It invites people to talk this way about him and to point out just truth. It's truth. He hooked up with a trans woman. Look it up. Now, 6 of Cups kind of means like living in the past. It's an inner child kind of card. I don't know why that came up. Maybe they're kind of lost in La La Land a little bit. I don't know. Hard to say. Could also still have something to do with Sam. Dream sharing. I mean, these guys are sharing a dream, right? There is some mind reading going on. That's why Sam is not happy with Nick Fuentes simply pointing out truths. But Sam Hyde's a very smart guy. You got to really understand that. Sam Hyde is not someone who likes to wear his heart on his sleeve. We all do to some extent because that's just in our nature. But he doesn't like to do it, and he's aware of what that does to an individual. I mean, look up what Andrew Tate has talked about, open-ended questions. He doesn't like open-ended questions because that gets him in trouble. And he also says because men have a lot to hide and are mostly liars. That's according to Andrew Tate. And 7 of Wands is a rebirth and defiance card. We already got that before. All these cards these 2 cards represent sort of like change, but this card represents no change. Is there something preventing change going on? Is it because of the love of Trump? I don't know. We'll have to see in part 3, the final part. What the fuck? Typically, who cares? All right. Bye.